Hi, I'm Amy, a teacher from Wales. This is Alex, a doctor from Ukraine. We're full-time travelers and remote workers. This week, we're climbing Mount Vesuvius, the only active volcano in all of Europe. Assuming we don't miss the train or seriously injure ourselves, we'll next be heading down to Pompeii, the city that was destroyed by a 79 AD eruption. Join us for this week's adventure, and if you like it, please subscribe so you don't miss next week. If you've watched our other two vlogs on our time in Italy so far, you'll notice a pattern that the public transport has let us down a few times. Today, we once again found the train station closed with a strike notice, so we decided to get a taxi to the main station. Only some train lines were affected, so we were hopeful that our train from the main station to Mount Vesuvius would still be running. After taking a couple wrong turns, and then a couple more, we were able to find where we needed to purchase a ticket. I swear, we're both relatively competent people. Shameless plug, but I started college when I was 12 years old. It's a long story, but I'm 100% serious, and yet the public transport in Italy has confused me every time we've tried to use it. We made our way down to the platform, but when the train came in that we thought we bought a ticket for, they wouldn't let us on.
I have no idea where to go now.
They told us when we tried to board that we needed to wait for the next one. That wasn't for another 20 minutes, so I went and got a donut. The second train came and told us it wasn't headed where we needed to go, so we watched that one drive off too. A third train came, and Alex went inside to ask if this train was going to the stop we needed, and they said no as well. Okay, this is now the fourth train. Fourth? Third? Fifth? I don't know. I lost count. Let's see if we can get on it. Okay, we were allowed on the train, but we're supposed to meet our tour in 7 minutes, and the train's gonna take 17 minutes. So we'll see if they'll wait for us. If not, I guess we'll just ride it there and ride it back. And that'll be the end of the video. Okay, so we did miss the 3 o'clock tour. We did get on a train that took us where we needed to go, but by the time we got to the ticket office of the Mount Vesuvius, I don't even know if I have said that we are going to Mount Vesuvius yet. We're doing a tour, and we got to the touring company, and they were really nice. And even though we missed the 3 o'clock bus, they said that we could get on the 4 o'clock bus. So there's a little restaurant right outside. It's now 3:43. We stopped and got a little caprese sandwich, and we're going to go on the 4 o'clock tour, which actually will be better because it'll be less hot. It is currently 86 degrees Fahrenheit, but feels like 150. Our tour guide came and escorted us to a large bus to make our way as far up the volcano as you can go in a vehicle before you have to switch to walking. The roads are a little scary in a vehicle this large, but we had a good driver. Just a little bit about Mount Vesuvius real quick. This volcano's most famous eruption was in 79 AD, which caused the catastrophic destruction of a famous city called Pompeii. It sent large waves of gas, ash, and rock down towards Pompeii at speeds of 700 kilometers per hour. There have been about 50 eruptions since then, with the last one during World War II in 1944. This is still an active volcano, and today we're going to hike to the top. I learned something from our time in Japan, and that is to bring umbrellas when you're going to be in the sun. And it's very sunny. We are starting the hike at 4:40 p.m. It is extremely inclined and extremely hot, but we'll see when we get to the top. It's 4:55. It's been 15 minutes, and I'm very, very sweaty. But this view, oh, you can't see it because I have an umbrella. Hold on. The view is amazing, but the hike is hard. Hardest hike I've probably ever done. And I've hiked in Denali. This is tough. And the ground is like a sand rock mixture, so it's a little slippery. no accessibility entrance, unfortunately.
This was Alex's view the entire way up the volcano.
It's 5:05 and we've made it to the top, and now we're just waiting for a tour guide to come so that we can get a tour of the inside of the volcano, but I will show you what is up top. So there's the top right there where you can like go inside, but before you reach that, you'll reach this little bar, souvenir shop combo. You can get magnets, you can get some snacks, you can get some drinks, and then you can wait in this area, and there's a guide every 20 minutes that will take you up and inside, or you can go up there alone. It's up to you, but we're gonna wait. The view is beautiful. You can see the sun rays coming through the clouds onto Naples.
Our quick tour explains the stages of a volcano eruption and how we now have the technology to monitor and alert of an impending eruption up to 2 weeks before. The longer a volcano goes between eruptions, the more intense the next one will be. There are about 3 million people that now live within the zone of destruction if Mount Vesuvius erupts again, but there are plans in place to be able to evacuate all of these people within 3 days. Vesuvius is now the only active volcano in all of Europe. Random fact, but volcanoes don't have a huge empty hole in the middle with lava down below or anything like that.
Alex is leaving me again.
It's actually really shallow and the sediment is settled, so it's more of like a little dip in the top of a regular mountain.
Yeah, and now I'm just glad they have an umbrella. Me. Did you not feel that?
I did just know.
Oh, okay. Okay, that wasn't quite the top. There is a little bit more to the actual top, but we got a quick tour explaining what happened, and now we're going to the actual top. A glass of wine for two. A glass of water is also two. That's funny. There's another bar at the top, at the actual top, with more magnets, more drinks, more snacks, and €2 wine. Okay, I take it back. That was still not the top because now we've come across some stairs. So, I guess we're gonna climb these. There is a dog at the top. Okay, that rainbow is showing up on camera. That's really cool. And a very beautiful dog.
Even if you're not interested in the history of Mount Vesuvius, this is one of the best views of Naples and Sorrento, and it could make for a beautiful hike regardless. My time at the top looking out onto the sea was the best part of the day.
Okay, this is now the end, and there is another store with more snacks, more magnets, more drinks, and now we can't go any further for sure.
So we thought you could actually go inside, and I guess you used to be able to, but somebody fell and unfortunately passed away, so they don't allow that anymore.
Are you okay?
Yep. Yeah, I definitely need to get some new
Better traction. I almost caught another upper arm fall. What's it called? A foosh. How's your $2 wine?
It's good.
Should give you a pretty good pour too.
Yeah, it's made from grapes that are planted in the soil of the volcano. So, pretty good.
Okay, now we're on our way down. Alex is actually staying with me. for our way down. We're starting the trek down at 6:05, so we'll see how long it takes to go down versus up.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it'll take less time, but we'll see how much less.
Yes.
He's protecting his ears. He's not trying to be
The
like
sun
cool.
is directly to my left, so just, you know, trying to maximize protection.
I'm trying to protect him, but I'm short.
That's fine.
It only took us 12 minutes to get to the bottom. It is now 6:17, and the last bus out of here is at 7, so we're just gonna hang out till then, and then we'll take the bus home, and we will see you tomorrow in Pompeii. Good morning. Today we are going to Pompeii, which is, yesterday we went to Mount Vesuvius. Today we're going to Pompeii, which is the town that Mount Vesuvius' eruption ruined, and they've left Pompeii as it is, so it's just a city of ruins. And I know I said this yesterday, but you have to bring an umbrella. If you are going anywhere in Italy in the summer, you have to bring an umbrella. It makes a world of difference. Today is already 90 degrees, and I bet the feels like temperature is close to 100, which is like 35 degrees Celsius. So it's cheaper than buying aloe, and you're gonna need aloe if you don't have an umbrella.
So wear your sunscreen.
Also wear your sunscreen, but bring an umbrella. Okay, we're at the train station. We're gonna take this train to the central train station of Naples, and then take a train from there to Pompeii.
Hopefully.
We had better luck today, and we were able to get a ticket and catch the train to the station that takes you right outside the Pompeii entrance. There are so many vendors here, places to buy souvenirs, get food and drinks, and to sit and cool off before or after you explore the city. Because of our misfortune with public transport the past couple weeks, we left so early that we were actually an hour early to our tour, so we went to see if there happened to be an earlier one.
Our greeters will welcome you holding a sign with Asco's Tours written on top. Okay, so maybe they had the tour that left already, and then they're just going back until it's time for the tour.
We couldn't find one, so we decided to check out the drinks. The cold slushies look so good when you're sweating, but I'd actually not recommend them. I got the mango one, and it was €5. The first sip was great, purely because I was hot, but then I quickly realized it just tasted like sugar water, so I ended up giving it to Alex. When it was time to meet our tour guide, we headed back to the main gates. Our guide was named Marilyn, and she was the best guide we've had so far in Italy.
Okay guys, you have to turn on the radios.
She gave us so much information that I feel like I could now talk about Pompeii for hours, but I don't want to bore you, so I'll just give you the highlights. So as I said yesterday, Mount Vesuvius' eruption caused Pompeii to be entirely covered in pumice stone and ash. And like completely covered, like 19 to 23 feet, which is like 6 to 7 meters.
Do you remember, for example, the Greek name of Venus? Aphrodite.
I cannot fathom over 20 feet of ash covering an entire city within mere minutes. But because of this, the entire city was essentially preserved for 17 centuries. A completely forgotten burial. That was until 1599, when an architect discovered it while digging an underground canal. Domenico Fontana was his name, and he uncovered some of the city before, get this, covering it back up and continuing his canal. It's not funny, but I'm just laughing because it's so unbelievable. The city was once again lost and forgotten until 100 years later in the early 1700s, when it was discovered again while building a summer palace for the King of Naples. Keep in mind, this is over 1,600 years after the eruption. Mind-blowing. This brought on the beginning of an inspection and evacuation, but the city fell victim to royals plundering the area for ancient decorations, and it wasn't until another 100 years later that archaeologists started studying the area appropriately and beginning the longest continually excavated site ever seen. The most jaw-dropping part of this whole experience is the plaster casts they have of the victims. The tour guide explained this better, but essentially, the ash fell over the city so quickly tightly that it encased the bodies in the exact position they were in when they died. The thick coating quickly turned solid, further preserving the body in each intricate detail. But once the soft tissue decomposed, the hard shell surrounding each body remained, meaning it essentially acted as a mold. So during excavation, they were finding these hollow molds with the bones inside and quickly realized what they were. So moving forward, they searched for these hollow molds beneath the surface, and each time they found one, they would drill a small hole, pour in liquid plaster, and wait for it to harden. The result is on display. Molds of the victims and their exact position during their death. The bones are still inside these molds, but of course, these are not the preserved bodies like people sometimes believe. What absolutely blew my mind was that some of these victims were sitting upright when they were covered and passed away. Think about how quickly the ash must have hardened around them in order for them to remain upright or have their heads in their hands or covering their faces. I could talk about this for hours because it is so crazy to me, but I'll move on.
Guys, this was a huge complex. For example, they came here to do sport. This was the gymnasium for physical exercises. There were rooms for massage, for reading. They came here to socialize. This was a meeting place.
Most of the roofs caved in with the weight of the eruption, but one of the coolest buildings was the Roman bath, or gymnasium, that happened to be built with a rounded roof. This design protected it from the weight, which preserved it and everything inside. Stepping into this room with the marble hot tubs, carvings in the wall, and paintings on the ceilings, all exactly how they were almost 2,000 years ago. One of my favorite stops on the tour was in the town bakery. The oven's still completely intact. So intact, in fact, that while excavating, they found the oven full of sourdough loaves of bread. They were quite charred, obviously, but so intact that they still had the imprints made on the top by the baker. Our tour guide took us into the largest house in the city where all the tile work was beautifully preserved.
That's why this place here in the entrance, imagine when the door was open, it was visible.
The colors on the walls of paintings and bedrooms still colorful and vibrant. Our tour guide even poured water over one of the stones to show us just how colorful this house would have been. We even saw the first ever "Beware of Dog" sign in the entry of a home made completely out of tile. She showed us fast food restaurants with menus still painted on the walls for fish and bread. I could have spent days here looking into each person's house, each restaurant, each shop. The disbelief I had each time she pointed out a new detail. I was in complete amazement the entire day.
So we just finished our tour of Pompeii. It took about 2 hours and it was great. Pompeii is about a total of, I think she said 160-ish acres, and they've excavated 2/3 of it so far, so they're still working on a third. We really liked the tour. Marilyn, if you can somehow get her as a tour guide, she was amazing, very informative, very engaging. Probably the most fascinating thing that I thought that we saw is plaster molds of people that died after the eruption and the positions that they were in. I also really liked the original "Beware of Dog" sign. So even back then, they had those types of warnings you could put on your fence.
So the tour ended at 5:40. I think the museum closes, or you can't get in past 6:10. So we're gonna leave the ruins and go to the museum part, which is sad because there's so much to see. You could definitely walk around for multiple days and still not see everything. So I recommend spending a full day and bring an umbrella, bring a fan.
Also, I do think having a tour is very was crucial.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's very cool to just walk around on your own, but to have like someone take you to the highlights and explain everything, it's a much better experience because of that.
Yeah, I don't think you could spend a full day if you didn't have a tour, you didn't know what you were looking at. It wouldn't be as exciting. So one thing our tour guide told us that was actually really cool was that, so this is Mount Vesuvius, and it used to be about double the height it is now before the eruption. So she says if you connect the two sides that you see right there, like that's what it used to be. And when the eruption happened, all this covered Pompeii and the surrounding areas. So it used to be like humongous. So they talk about this huge mountain, but the Romans didn't realize it was a volcano. All of this that's missing is on Pompeii. Well, not anymore, we excavated it, but not me, not we. Someone else did, you know what I mean.
The museum is full of even more preserved items from the city, as well as some more plaster casts of victims, one of whom was pregnant. It's so devastating to think about all who lost their lives and this entire world being covered and forgotten for thousands of years. I've likely talked too much about Pompeii at this point, but I would seriously recommend watching a YouTube video or something about the eruption and the stages that everything happened in. And if you know any other facts about the city that I didn't mention, please comment and tell me. I feel like I will be researching this for a long time. After one of the most incredible days, it was time to head home. There are 2 exits to Pompeii, both of which come out to a train station. Either we're getting a little better with navigating the public transport here, or we just got lucky, because both ways today we had no problems getting to and from Naples. Keep in mind that Pompeii is only like a 25-minute drive from Naples, but if you try to get a taxi there, they have these like fixed fees that are sometimes over €100. So the train tickets were less than $10 for both of us. If you can manage public transport, I would highly recommend that instead. Just remember to always validate your ticket in one of these machines before you board. Next week, we'll be heading to a new spot in Italy. Please subscribe if you haven't already. We put out a video of our adventures every Monday, and we would love for you to follow along. See you next week.